Jinwoo Park leaned back in his captain's chair and watched the stars drift past the main screen of his ship. The Soul's Pride was not the biggest or fastest ship in the human fleet, but it was his ship, and that made all the difference. For 3 years now, he had been leading his small crew through the Outer Rim territories, mapping new worlds and studying strange alien life forms. Dr. So-Min Lee sat at her science station, her dark eyes focused on the data streaming across her. Screens. She had been Jinwoo's friend since their academy days and knew him better than anyone else on the ship. When he got that particular look in his eyes, trouble usually followed. "Captain, I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from the Kepler 442 system," So-Min called out. "3 planets with intelligent life, but the readings are all wrong. The electromagnetic patterns suggest massive destruction." Engineer Tai-Hyun Kim looked up from his console near the back of the bridge. His hands were always dirty from working on the ship's engines, and today was no different. "Want me to prep the long-range sensors? We could get a better look without getting too close." Lieutenant Hana Choi turned from her tactical station. As the ship's weapons officer, she was always ready for trouble. Her military training made her cautious about everything, especially when they were this far from home. "Sir, regulations say we should report unusual readings to Fleet Command before investigating." Jinwoo grinned at his crew. They were good people, all of them, but sometimes they worried too much. "Where's the fun in following regulations? Set course for Kepler 442. Let's see what's making those energy readings." The Soul's Pride changed direction and moved toward the distant star system. As they got closer, the ship's sensors began picking up more detailed information. What they found made everyone on the bridge go quiet. 3 beautiful planets that had once been home to millions of people were now burning. Cities were reduced to smoking ruins. Orbital stations hung in space like broken toys. And surrounding all 3 worlds was the largest alien fleet any of them had ever seen. "My God," So-Min whispered. "The destruction is total. Whoever did this didn't just conquer these worlds. They wiped them out completely." The alien ships were unlike anything in the human databases. They looked like giant insects made of black metal, with wings that glowed red with energy. There had to be at least 500 ships in the fleet, from small fighters to massive battleships that were bigger than anything humans had ever built. Tae-Hyun's voice was tight with worry. "Captain, those ships are using technology we've never seen before. Their energy output is off the charts. We should leave, now." But Jinwoo was studying the alien fleet with intense interest. Something about their formation bothered him. The ships were arranged in a pattern that looked impressive, but was actually quite inefficient. Any decent military academy graduate could see the flaws in their positioning. "Hana, are they scanning us yet?" he asked. The tactical officer checked her instruments. "Not yet, sir. We're still at the edge of their sensor range. But if we stay here much longer, they'll definitely detect us." That's when one of the massive alien battleships turned toward them. A moment later, the Soul's Pride's communications system came alive with an incoming transmission. The voice that came through the speakers was harsh and filled with authority. "Unknown vessel, you have entered territory claimed by the hegemony. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Respond within 30 seconds or face annihilation." So-Min looked at Jinwoo with alarm. "Captain, we need to run. That fleet could turn us into space dust without even trying." Hana was already working at her console. "Sir, I can have us out of here in 20 seconds. Just give the word." But Jinwoo was still staring at the alien fleet formation. The more he looked at it, the more obvious the tactical mistakes became. Whoever was commanding that fleet might be powerful, but they were not very smart about military strategy. "Open a channel," Jinwoo said calmly. Tae-Hyun turned around in shock. "Captain, what are you doing?" "Hana, open a direct communication. Link to their flagship. I want to talk to whoever's in charge." So-Min stood up from her station. "Jinwoo, this is crazy. We need to leave right now." But Jinwoo was already pressing the communication button. When the channel opened, he could see the alien commander on his screen. The creature looked like a giant praying mantis with 6 arms and eyes that glowed like red coals. Scars covered its black carapace, and when it spoke, rows of sharp teeth were visible. "I am Warlord Vextar, Supreme Commander of the Hegemony Fleet. You will surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded." Jinwoo looked at the fearsome alien. and did something that shocked everyone on his bridge. He started laughing. Supreme Commander? Really? Because from where I'm sitting, your fleet formation looks like it was designed by a first-year academy student who failed his tactical exams. The silence that followed was complete. So-Min's mouth fell open. Tae-hyun stopped breathing. Hana reached for her weapons controls out of pure instinct. Vextar's eyes blazed brighter. What did you say, human? Jin-Woo leaned forward in his chair, warming to his subject. I said your formation is terrible. Look at your positioning. You've got your heavy cruisers bunched up on the left flank with no fighter cover. Your command ship is way too far forward, making it an easy target. And don't even get me started on how you've arranged your supply vessels. Any decent commander could tear through your lines in about 10 minutes. The alien warlord's mandibles clicked together in what was clearly rage. You dare to question the tactics of Vextar the Destroyer? I have conquered 47 star systems. I have crushed armies that spanned entire worlds. Congratulations, Jin-Woo replied with mock sincerity. You've managed to beat a bunch of peaceful planets that probably didn't even have proper military defenses. That's like a grown man bragging about winning a fight with children. Very impressive. So-Min grabbed Jin-Woo's shoulder. Captain, please, stop talking, she whispered urgently, but Jin-Woo was just getting started. You know what I think? I think the hegemony's reputation is built on fear, not actual military skill. You find defenseless worlds, blow them up with overwhelming force, and then act like you're some kind of tactical genius, but when faced with a real challenge, you'd probably fall apart faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. Vextar was now making a sound that was somewhere between a hiss and a roar. You insolent little insect! I will hunt you to the ends of the galaxy. I will make your death so slow and painful that other species will tell stories about it for 1,000 years. There. It is, Jin-Woo said with satisfaction. When you can't win an argument with logic, you resort to threats. That's exactly what I expected from someone with such poor tactical awareness. The alien warlord's image flickered as he apparently smashed something on his end of the communication. You want to see my tactical abilities, human? I will show you. I will personally lead the hunt for your pathetic little ship. Every vessel under my command will search for you until you are found and destroyed. Looking forward to it, Jin-Woo replied cheerfully. Try not to crash into any asteroids while you're chasing us. I'd hate for you to embarrass yourself even more than you already have. He cut the communication and immediately turned to his crew. Hana, get us out of here. Maximum speed. Tae-hyun, I need everything you can give me from the engines. As the Soul's Pride jumped to hyperspace, So-Min stared at her captain in disbelief. Jin-Woo, what have you done? You just made an enemy of the most dangerous warlord in this part of the galaxy. Jin-Woo watched the alien fleet disappear behind them and smiled. I noticed something while we were talking. Look at the sensor logs. When Vextar got angry, he started giving orders to his fleet. More than half of his ships are now breaking formation to pursue us. Tae-hyun looked at the data, and his eyes widened. You're right. He's sending at least 200 ships after us. But, Captain, how is that a good thing? Because, Jin-Woo explained, those ships were systematically destroying those 3 planets, looking for something specific. They weren't just conquering, they were searching. And now, instead of continuing their search, they're chasing us. So-Min began to understand. You bought time for any survivors to escape, and you disrupted whatever they were really doing here. Exactly, Jin-Woo said. Sometimes the best way to win is to make your enemy so angry that they make stupid decisions. And from what I saw of Vextar's tactical skills, he's going to make a lot of stupid decisions while he's hunting us. Hana was monitoring their pursuit. Sir, they're definitely following us, and they're fast. We might have bought some time, but now we're the ones in danger. Jin-Woo looked at his loyal crew and felt a surge of affection for these brave people, who trusted him even when he did crazy things. Don't worry, we're going to lead them on the most frustrating chase of their lives. And while we're doing that, we're going to figure out what they were really looking for on those planets. The Soul's Pride raced through hyperspace with half of Vextar's fleet in pursuit, and Jin-Woo couldn't help but smile. He had always believed that sometimes the best way to solve a big problem was to make it someone else's problem. And now, Vextar's problem was catching one small human ship that had hurt his pride. What the alien warlord didn't know was that Jin-Woo Park had always been very good at. The Soul's Pride shot through hyperspace like a bullet, but even in the vast emptiness between stars, Jinwoo could feel the alien fleet getting closer. For 3 days now, they had been running, jumping from system to system, never staying in one place long enough to rest. Taehyun Kim had not slept more than 2 hours at a time since the chase began. His usually clean uniform was stained with grease and sweat as he worked constantly to keep their engines running at maximum power. The ship was not built for this kind of stress, and systems were starting to fail. "Captain, the hyperdrive is overheating," Taehyun called from his engineering station. "If we don't stop soon and let it cool down, we're going to lose it completely." Dr. So-Min Lee looked up from her science console, where she had been analyzing the data they collected from the destroyed planets. Her eyes were red from exhaustion, but she had been working non-stop to understand what the hegemony had been searching for. "I think I found something," she said. "The energy patterns on those planets weren't random. The aliens were using some kind of scanning technology looking for specific objects buried deep underground." Lieutenant Hana Choi turned from her tactical station. Her job had been to monitor their pursuers, and the news was not good. "They're gaining on us. Whatever technology they're using, it's faster than anything we have. At this rate, they'll catch us within 6 hours." Jinwoo studied the star charts on his main screen. They were in a region of space that few humans had ever explored, far from any friendly bases or patrol routes. If they were going to survive, they would have to be smarter than their enemies. "There." He pointed to a system marked with warning symbols. "The Vega asteroid field. It's so dense that most ships avoid it completely." Taehyun shook his head. "Captain, that's suicide. The asteroids in that field are huge, and they move in unpredictable patterns. Even our best pilots have trouble navigating through there." "Exactly," Jinwoo smiled, "which means Vextar's ships will have trouble too. And remember, I insulted his piloting skills. His pride won't let him admit that a human can go somewhere he can't follow." So-Min looked worried. "Jinwoo, this is incredibly dangerous. One mistake and we'll be smashed to pieces. Would you rather take that chance, or wait for Vexatar to catch us in open space?" Jinwoo asked. "At least in the asteroid field, we have a fighting chance." Hana was already plotting the course. "Sir, I can get us through the outer edges of the field, but once we're inside, it's going to be pure pilot skill that keeps us alive." "Set course for Vega," Jinwoo ordered, "and prepare for emergency maneuvers." The Soul's Pride dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the massive asteroid field. Millions of rocks, some as small as cars and others as large as cities, tumbled through space in a chaotic dance that had been going on for billions of years. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. "Incoming transmission," Hana announced. "It's Vextar." The alien warlord's face appeared on the main screen, his red eyes blazing with fury. "Human, you cannot run forever. Surrender now, and I will make your death quick." Jinwoo pretended to consider this offer. "You know, that's very generous of you, but I have a counter-proposal. Why don't you follow us into this asteroid field and prove that you're as good a pilot as you claim to be?" Vextar's mandibles clicked together angrily. "You think I am afraid of some floating rocks?" "I think you're afraid of looking bad in front of your own fleet," Jinwoo replied. "After all, if you can't catch one small human ship, what will your officers think of your leadership abilities?" The alien commander's roar of rage was cut off as Jinwoo closed the communication channel. "Hana, take us in, nice and easy." The Soul's Pride moved carefully into the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks that spun slowly in the darkness. Jinwoo took manual control of the ship, his hands steady on the controls as he guided them deeper into the maze. Behind them, the hegemony fleet hesitated at the edge of the field. Through their sensors, they could see nearly 200 alien ships holding position, unwilling to follow. "Look at that," Taehyun said with satisfaction. "They're afraid to come in." But their celebration was short-lived. Vextar's flagship, a massive vessel shaped like a black beetle, began moving into the asteroid field. Behind it came 50 of his best ships, their hulls gleaming with armor and weapons. "He's actually doing it," So-Min said in disbelief. "He's bringing his entire command squadron after us." The chase through the asteroid field became a deadly game of skill and luck. Jinwoo pushed the Soul's Pride through gaps that seemed impossible, the ship's hull scraping against rocks as they squeezed through spaces barely wider than their vessel. The hegemony ships were larger and more powerful, but they were also less maneuverable. Jinwoo watched with grim satisfaction as one of the alien cruisers clipped an asteroid and spun out of control, crashing into a second rock and exploding in a burst of flame. "That's one down," Hana reported. "But they're still gaining on us." So-min had been studying her sensors. "Captain, I'm reading something strange. There's an artificial structure hidden deep in the asteroid field. It's giving off the same energy signature as those scanning devices the hegemony was using." Jinwoo's heart began to race. "Can you get us there?" "It's risky. The asteroids are even denser in that area, but yes, I think we can make it." "Do it," Jinwoo ordered. They dove deeper into the field, following So-min's coordinates toward the mysterious structure. The asteroids here were so thick that they had to turn their lights on just to see where they were going. Suddenly, through the darkness, they saw it. A massive ship, easily 10 times the size of anything in Vextar's fleet, drifted silently among the asteroids. But this was not a hegemony vessel. The design was completely different, ancient and elegant, covered with symbols that seemed to glow with their own inner light. "My God," So-min whispered. "That ship is thousands of years old, maybe tens of thousands." As they approached the ancient vessel, their communications system suddenly came alive. But this time the voice was not harsh and threatening like Vextar's. It was calm and musical, speaking in perfect human language. "Human ship. You are welcome. Here. I am Elder Nimara of the Protector Council. Your arrival was foretold long ago." A smaller ship detached itself from the ancient vessel, moving with grace and precision toward the soul's pride. It was clearly alien, but its design spoke of wisdom and peace rather than war and destruction. "Captain," Hana called out urgently, "Vextar's ships are almost here. They'll be in weapons range in 2 minutes." The Elder's ship moved alongside them. "Follow me quickly. There is much to explain, and little time before the destroyer arrives." Jinwoo had to make a split-second decision. Trust this mysterious alien who claimed to have been waiting for them, or continue running through the asteroid field with no plan and no hope. "We're following you," he told the Elder. Nimara's ship led them to a hidden docking bay inside the ancient vessel. As soon as they were inside, powerful shields activated, hiding them from any outside sensors. Moments later, they heard the thunder of weapons fire as Vextar's fleet arrived at the ancient ship. But their attacks simply bounced off the shields like raindrops hitting a window. "Impossible," came Vextar's voice over the communication system. "Nothing can withstand the full firepower of my fleet. Your weapons are crude, and your understanding is limited," Elder Nimara's voice replied calmly. "You seek that which you cannot comprehend." Inside the docking bay, Jinwoo and his crew were met by Nimara herself. She was tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer with starlight. Her large eyes held the wisdom of ages, and when she spoke, her voice was like music. "Welcome, Jinwoo Park," she said, somehow knowing his name. "You have done something remarkable. Your words of mockery have disrupted the hegemony's search for the Nexus cores." "Nexus cores?" So-min asked. Nimara gestured for them to follow her deeper into the ship. As they walked through corridors lined with glowing symbols, she began to explain. Long ago, when the galaxy was young, there existed a civilization of incredible wisdom and power. They created 7 artifacts called Nexus cores, each one containing the ability to reshape reality itself on a massive scale. Taehyun's eyes widened. "That's impossible. No technology can alter reality." "Your science does not yet understand the deeper laws of the universe," Nimara replied gently. "But the cores are real, and they are incredibly dangerous in the wrong hands. With just 3 cores, Vextar could reshape entire star systems. With all 7, he could remake the galaxy, according to his will." They entered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing star maps and ancient texts. Nimara waved her hand, and the images changed to show the hegemony's fleet movements over the past year. "The destroyer has already found 2 of the 7 cores," she explained. "Each planet his forces have attacked was once a hiding place for one of these artifacts. That is why he searches so systematically, destroying everything that might hide the truth." Jinwoo studied the star maps. "And our little taunt disrupted his search pattern." "More than that?" Nimara smiled. Your species possesses a unique quality that makes you immune to the core's reality-altering effects. This is why I've been waiting for a human to find their way here. So-Min leaned forward eagerly. What kind of unique quality? Elder Nimara led Jinwoo and his crew through the ancient ship's corridors to a massive observation deck. Through the transparent walls, they could see Vextar's fleet still hammering away at the shields with increasing desperation. The alien. Warlord's fury was so great that he had ordered his ships to form a complete blockade around the asteroid field. He will not leave, Nimara observed calmly. The destroyer's pride has been wounded, and he will not rest until he has his revenge. Dr. So-Min Lee was studying the readings on her portable scanner. These shields are incredible. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our databases. How long can they hold? As long as necessary, the elder replied. But remaining hidden will not solve the larger problem. Vextar has 2 Nexus cores already, and he knows the location of the others. We must take action. Tae-Hyun Kim looked around at the ancient technology surrounding them. Everything in the ship seemed to be made of materials that gleamed like liquid starlight. How old is this vessel? 40,000 of your years, Nimara said. It was built by the Protectors, the civilization that created the Nexus cores. I am the last of my kind, and I have spent millennia guarding their legacy. Lieutenant Hana Choi was monitoring the tactical situation outside. Ma'am, Vextar is moving more ships into position. It looks like he's planning to stay here indefinitely. Jinwoo studied the alien fleet through the observation deck's windows. We can't stay hidden forever. Eventually, we need to get out there and stop him from finding the other cores. You speak as if this is a simple task, Nimara said with a slight smile. The hegemony commands thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. Your vessel is small, and your crew numbers only 4. Sometimes small can be an advantage, Jinwoo replied. Big fleets move slowly and make a lot of noise. A small ship can go places they can't follow. So-Min was studying the star charts that Nimara had shown them earlier. The next core location is in the Centauri system, about 50 light-years from here. If we could get there first... Vextar already knows that location, Nimara interrupted. His scouts are likely already searching there, but there is another possibility. The elder waved her hand, and the holographic displays changed to show a different star system. This one was marked with symbols that even the ship's translation system couldn't interpret. There is a hidden sanctuary in the Proxima system, Nimara explained. It was built as a refuge for those fleeing the hegemony's advance. Many species have gathered there, survivors from the worlds Vextar has destroyed. Tae-Hyun looked interested. A hidden base? That could be useful. More than useful, Nimara said. Among the refugees is someone you need to meet, a former hegemony officer who defected when he learned the truth about the Nexus cores. Hana turned from her station. A defector? Can we trust him? Captain Keltos risked everything to escape from Vextar's fleet, Nimara replied. He knows the internal structure of the hegemony better than anyone. His information could be the key to stopping the destroyer. Jinwoo made his decision quickly. How do we get past Vextar's blockade? Nimara smiled, and for the first time since they met her, she looked almost mischievous. The same way my people have avoided detection for 40,000 years. We use the old paths. The elder led them back to their ship and activated a series of controls that seemed to be made of pure light. Suddenly, the soul's pride began to change. Its hull took on the same shimmering quality as the ancient vessel, and their sensor readings became completely different. Cloaking technology? So-Min asked in amazement. Something far more advanced than cloaking, Nimara explained. We have temporarily shifted your ship into a different dimensional phase. You exist in the same space, but Vextar's sensors cannot detect you. Jinwoo felt the ship moving, but when he looked outside, the hegemony fleet seemed frozen in place. How long will this effect last? Long enough to reach the sanctuary. But be warned, once the effect wears off, it cannot be used again for several days. Use this opportunity wisely. The journey to the Proxima system took only a few hours in their phase-shifted state. When they arrived, Jinwoo was amazed by what he saw. Hidden among the asteroids and gas clouds was a massive space station, clearly built from the wreckage of dozens of different ships. It was like a city in space, home to thousands of refugees from across the galaxy. As the Soul's Pride docked with the station, the phase shift effect began to wear off. They were back in normal space, but surrounded by beings from dozens of different species, all united by their hatred of the hegemony. The first person to greet them was Captain Keltos himself. He looked almost human, except for his blue-tinted skin and the distinctive ridges above his eyes. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had once commanded a warship. "So you are the humans who made Vextar look like a fool," he said, with obvious approval. "I heard the recording of your conversation. Very impressive." Jinwoo studied the former hegemony officer. "Nimara says you have information that can help us stop him." Keltos nodded grimly. "I served under Vextar for 15 years before I learned about the true purpose of his campaigns. The hegemony leadership believes the Nexus cores will make them gods, able to reshape the galaxy according to their will. They were led to a conference room where representatives from a dozen different species were waiting. The diversity was incredible. Some looked like walking trees, others resembled living crystals, and a few seemed to be made entirely of energy. "These are the survivors," Keltos explained. "Representatives from every world the hegemony has attacked in the past 2 years. They have been waiting for someone who could strike back. An alien that looked like a giant butterfly spoke in a voice like wind chimes. We have ships and weapons, but no way to coordinate our attacks. Vextar's fleet is too large and too well organized. That's where our inside knowledge becomes valuable," Keltos said. "I know how the hegemony command structure works. Vextar rules through fear and intimidation, but his officers are getting tired of his obsession with revenge." So-Min leaned forward with interest. "What do you mean?" "Admiral Quindal and the other fleet commanders are frustrated," Keltos explained. "They want to continue the systematic search for the Nexus cores, but Vexitar has diverted half his fleet to hunt for one small human ship. This has created divisions in his command structure." Tae-hyun was studying the technical specifications of the refugee ships. "These vessels are from different civilizations with completely different technologies. How do we coordinate them into an effective fighting force?" "We don't try to fight the hegemony fleet directly," Jinwoo said, understanding the strategy immediately. "We hit their weak points and make them spread their forces even thinner." Keltos smiled. "Exactly. Vexitar's greatest weakness is his pride. He cannot resist a direct challenge, especially from humans. If we can manipulate him into making more strategic mistakes, we can turn his own fleet against him," Ha-Na finished. She was beginning to understand the plan. An alien that looked like a walking tree creaked as it spoke. "What about the Nexus cores? Even if we defeat Vextar, the cores are still dangerous." Nimara, who had been quietly listening, stepped forward. "That is where our human friends become essential. Their unique neural patterns make them immune to the core's reality-altering effects. A human could safely handle the artifacts and ensure they are never misused." So-Min was fascinated by the scientific implications. "How exactly do our brains work differently?" "It is related to your species' capacity for something you call imagination," Nimara explained. "Humans can envision multiple realities simultaneously and choose which one they believe to be true. This mental flexibility protects you from having your reality forcibly changed by external sources." Jinwoo looked around the room at all the different species represented. Each one had suffered under the hegemony's advance, and each one was counting on him and his crew to help them fight back. "What do you need from us?" he asked. Keltos activated a holographic display showing the positions of hegemony forces across the galaxy. "First, we need to steal the 2 cores that Vextar has already collected. They are kept in the vault of his flagship, protected by the most advanced security systems in the galaxy." "A heist," Tae-hyun said with growing excitement. "Stealing from the most powerful warlord in the galaxy? I like it." "It will be incredibly dangerous," Keltos warned. "The flagship has enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. One mistake, and we will all be dead. But if we succeed," So-Min added, "we prevent him from getting closer to collecting all 7 cores." Hana was already thinking tactically. We'll need detailed intelligence about the ship's layout, security protocols, and patrol schedules. I can provide all of that, Keltos said. I helped design some of those security systems, but getting onto the ship will require a significant distraction. Jinwoo grinned. I think I know just the thing. Vextar is still obsessed with catching me personally. What if we gave him exactly what he wants? The room fell silent as everyone realized what the human captain was suggesting. You want to surrender yourself as bait, Nimara said. Not surrender, Jinwoo corrected. Get captured. There's a difference. So-min looked alarmed. Jinwoo, that's suicide. Once you're on his ship, there's no guarantee we can get you out. The plan was insane, but it was the only chance they had. Jinwoo stood in the modified cargo hold of a captured hegemony transport ship, checking his equipment one final time. The vessel had been taken during a refugee rescue operation 3 months ago, and Keltos had spent weeks modifying its systems to hide their true purpose. Dr. So-min Lee finished adjusting the scanning device strapped to her arm. The compact machine could detect Nexus Core energy signatures from up to 50 meters away, but it had never been tested in the kind of electromagnetic storm that surrounded Vextar's flagship. Remember, she said to Jinwoo, the cores will be kept in isolation chambers designed to contain their reality-altering effects. The moment you touch one, you might experience visions or mental interference that could be overwhelming. Lieutenant Hana Choi was dressed in a captured hegemony uniform that Keltos had provided. The disguise was good enough to fool casual observation, but it wouldn't stand up to detailed scrutiny. Her job was to get them past the initial security checkpoints. Captain, she said quietly, are you sure about this? Once we're on that ship, there's no backup plan. Jinwoo looked at his loyal officers and felt a surge of pride. They were about to attempt something that no one in galactic history had ever tried, stealing from Vextar himself. I'm sure. We've come too far to back down now. Keltos activated the transport ship's communication system. Hegemony Command. This is Transport Vessel 847 requesting permission to dock. We have captured the human terrorist Jinwoo Park and are bringing him for interrogation. The response came immediately. Vextar's voice, filled with savage anticipation, echoed through the speakers. Transport 847, you are cleared for immediate docking. Bring the human directly to detention level 7. I will question him personally. As their ship moved toward the massive hegemony flagship, Jinwoo studied the vessel through the viewport. It was like a city in space, easily 5 kilometers long and bristling with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Thousands of smaller ships swarmed around it like insects around a hive. The security systems are concentrated in 3 main areas, Keltos explained as they approached the docking bay. The command deck, the engine core, and the vault where the cores are stored. Each area has independent shield generators and automated defense systems. So-min was nervous but determined. How long do we have once the alarm is raised? 5 minutes, Keltos replied grimly. Maybe 10 if we're very lucky. After that, the entire ship will be locked down and we'll be trapped. The transport ship settled into the docking bay with a metallic clang. Through the hull, they could hear the sounds of the massive flagship, the hum of machinery, the footsteps of thousands of crew members, and the constant background noise of a vessel that never slept. Hana checked her weapon one final time. Remember, we stick to the plan. Get to the vault, grab the cores, and get out. No heroics, no deviations. Unless something goes wrong, Jinwoo added. And something always goes wrong. The docking bay doors opened, and they were met by a squad of hegemony soldiers. The aliens were tall and imposing, with thick armor that made them look like walking tanks. Their leader stepped forward and gestured for Jinwoo to surrender. The prisoner will come with us immediately, the soldier said in heavily accented human language. Jinwoo allowed himself to be placed in restraints that were actually modified to be easily broken. As they marched through the ship's corridors, he memorized the layout and counted the number of guards at each checkpoint. The flagship was a maze of passages and chambers, each one filled with alien technology that hummed with power. They passed laboratories where hegemony scientists were conducting experiments on captured technology from conquered worlds. Jinwoo saw weapons that could destroy mountains and shields that could protect entire cities. The destroyer has been collecting more than just the Nexus cores, Keltos whispered as they walked. He's been gathering the most advanced technology from every species he's conquered. They reached detention level 7, where Vextar was waiting in a chamber designed for interrogation. The alien warlord looked even more frightening in person than he had on the communication screen. His red eyes blazed with anticipation as he saw Jinwoo being brought in. "So," Vexatar said, his voice like grinding metal, "the little human who thinks he understands tactics. You will tell me everything about your ship's capabilities and the location of any other human vessels in this sector." Jinwoo looked around the interrogation chamber and saw exactly what he had been hoping for: multiple exit points and security systems that could be turned against their operators. "You know, for someone who commands such a big fleet, you don't seem very confident. Why else would you need to interrogate one human so desperately?" Vextar's mandibles clicked together in rage. "Your insolence will be corrected. Guards, begin the neural probe sequence." That was the signal. Jinwoo broke free from his restraints with a move that Ha-Na had taught him, while simultaneously, the lights in the chamber went out. Keltos had activated the first part of their plan, creating a ship-wide power fluctuation that would last exactly 30 seconds. In the darkness, Jinwoo could hear Vexatar roaring orders to his guards. But by the time the emergency lighting came on, the human captain was already moving through a maintenance shaft that Keltos had marked on their plans. So Min and Ha-Na had used the confusion to slip away from their guard detail. They were already making their way toward the vault through a different route, using So Min's scanner to navigate the ship's complex layout. "Core signatures detected," So Min reported through their hidden communication devices. "2 energy sources. Incredibly powerful. They're definitely the Nexus cores." Jinwoo crawled through the maintenance tunnels, following the path that Keltos had memorized during his years of service. The ship's internal security was formidable, but it had been designed to keep intruders out, not to stop someone who already knew the layout. He reached the vault level just as alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Vextar's voice echoed through the corridors, promising horrible death to anyone who helped the human escape. "Vault security is heavier than expected," Ha-Na reported. 20 guards and automated defense turrets." "Can you handle it?" Jinwoo asked. "Give me 2 minutes," Ha-Na replied. Through the ship's internal sensors, Keltos was monitoring their progress from his position near the docking bay. "Captain, Vextar is mobilizing the entire security force. You need to move faster." Jinwoo reached the vault entrance just as Ha-Na finished dealing with the guards. Her military training had served her well. The hegemony soldiers were unconscious but alive, and the automated turrets had been disabled without triggering additional alarms. "The cores are behind that energy barrier," Somin said, pointing to a shimmering wall of force that protected the vault's inner chamber. "According to my readings, it will kill any non-human who tries to pass through it." Jinwoo approached the barrier carefully. As his hand touched the energy field, he felt a strange tingling sensation but no pain. The barrier recognized his human neural patterns and allowed him to pass through. Inside the vault, 2 objects sat on pedestals of crystalline material. They looked like spheres of liquid starlight, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. As Jinwoo approached the first Nexus core, he began to understand why these artifacts were so dangerous. The moment his fingers touched the surface of the first core, his mind was flooded with visions. He saw the galaxy as it had been millions of years ago, when the Protector civilization had been at its height. He witnessed their war against an ancient enemy that sought to consume all life in the universe. The cores had been their final weapon, capable of resetting reality itself to prevent total destruction. But the power was so great that using it would require the ultimate sacrifice from those who wielded it. "Jinwoo, are you all right?" Somin's voice seemed to come from very far away. He forced himself to focus on the present. "I'm fine, but these things are more powerful than we imagined." As he picked up the second core, more visions flooded his mind. He saw possible futures where the galaxy was consumed by war, and others where peace reigned among the stars. He began to understand that the cores didn't just change reality, they responded to the hopes and fears of whoever touched them. "Captain," Keltos's urgent voice came through their communication system, "Vextar is heading for the vault personally. You have less than 1 minute." Jinwoo secured both cores in the specially designed container that Nimara had provided. The ancient technology would mask their energy signatures and prevent them from affecting local reality. But as they prepared to leave the vault, the worst possible thing happened. Vextar himself appeared in the entrance, flanked by a dozen of his most elite guards. "Did you really think you could steal from me in my own ship?" the alien warlord snarled. "Your pathetic human tricks end here." Hana stepped forward, placing herself between Jinwoo and the alien soldiers. "Captain, go! I'll hold them off." "I'm not leaving you," Jinwoo said firmly. "That's an order, sir," Hana replied with a smile that reminded him of all the reasons he respected her so much. "Someone has to get those cores to safety." The ancient home world of Nim'Ara's people hung in space like a jewel, its surface covered with cities that gleamed like silver in the light of twin suns. But the beauty was deceptive. This world was about to become the site of the largest battle in galactic history. Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching as ships from dozens of different species took positions around the planet. The refugee fleet had grown to over 3,000 vessels, each one carrying survivors who had lost everything to Vextar's conquests. Dr. So-Min Lee was coordinating with Nim'Ara to prepare the planet's ancient defense systems. The technology had been dormant for thousands of years, but it was still more advanced than anything the hegemony possessed. "The planetary shields are almost ready," So-Min reported. "But activating them will require connecting all 7 Nexus cores to the primary network. Someone will have to manually install each core at specific points across the planet's surface." Engineer Tae-hyun Kim looked up from his console where he had been modifying their ship's systems. "Captain, I've finished the modifications. The Soul's Pride can now interface directly with the planetary defense grid, but the process will overload our engines. It's a one-way trip." Jinwoo nodded grimly. He had known from the beginning that this final mission would require the ultimate sacrifice. The only way to stop Vexatar permanently was to use the Nexus Core's reality-altering power to remove the capacity for hatred and cruelty from his forces. "Sir," Captain Keltos called from his position at the tactical station, "long-range sensors are detecting the hegemony fleet. Vextar is bringing everything he has, over 5,000 ships, including his flagship." Through the main view screen, they could see the dark shapes of the alien fleet emerging from hyperspace. It was a sight that would have terrified anyone else, but Jinwoo felt only determination. Too many good people had died for them to fail now. Elder Nim'Ara appeared on the bridge, her silver skin glowing with an inner light that showed her connection to the planet's ancient systems. "The defense network is ready, but I must warn you, using all 7 cores simultaneously will create a wave of transformation that will spread across the galaxy. Every living being will be affected." So-Min looked concerned. "What kind of transformation?" "The cores will remove the capacity for deliberate cruelty from all sentient minds," Nim'Ara explained. "Beings will still be capable of anger and conflict, but they will no longer be able to take pleasure in causing unnecessary suffering." Tae-hyun whistled softly. "That's not changing reality. That's changing the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. It is the only way to ensure lasting peace," Nim'Ara said, "but it requires someone with a completely stable neural pattern to guide the process. If the person controlling the cores loses focus for even a moment, the results could be catastrophic." Jinwoo understood what she was asking of him. "How long will the process take?" "Approximately 10 minutes to connect all 7 cores and activate the network. But you will be completely vulnerable during that time. Vextar will do everything in his power to stop you." The hegemony fleet was now fully visible, their black ships forming attack formations that stretched across space like a dark tide. At their head was Vexatar's flagship, its hull scarred from countless battles. "Incoming transmission," Keltos announced. Vextar's image appeared on the main screen, his red eyes blazing with hatred that seemed to burn across the vacuum of space. "Human, you have caused me more trouble than any being in the history of the galaxy. But it ends here. Surrender the cores, and I will grant you a quick death." Jinwoo looked at the alien warlord and felt something unexpected. Not hatred, but pity. "You know what I realized about you, Vextar? You're not evil because you enjoy causing pain. You're evil because you've forgotten how to feel anything else." "Your philosophy will not save you," Vextar snarled. "I have enough firepower to turn that planet into space dust." "Maybe," Jinwoo replied, But first, you'll have to get through all of us." He gestured toward the refugee fleet that was now moving to intercept the hegemony forces. Ships from dozens of different worlds, each one carrying beings who had lost everything but refused to give up hope. The space battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Weapons that could shatter moons fired across impossible distances. Ships that had been built by completely different civilizations fought side by side against their common enemy. But Jinwoo's attention was focused on the planet below. He had to reach the surface and connect the cores before Vextar's forces could break through the defensive fleet. "So-Min, you're with me," he said. "Tae-Hyun, I need you to coordinate with the planetary defense systems from orbit." As the Soul's Pride descended toward the planet, they could see the battle raging in space above them. The refugee fleet was holding its own, but they were vastly outnumbered. It was only a matter of time before Vextar's forces broke through. Thuckadi. Planet's surface was a mixture of ancient ruins and pristine wilderness. The Protector civilization had built their cities to blend with nature, creating a harmony that spoke of wisdom accumulated over millions of years. Nima'ara met them at the first installation point, a crystalline structure that rose from the center of what had once been a great city. Each core must be placed in a specific location and activated in sequence. The process cannot be interrupted, or the energy feedback will destroy everything within 1,000 light years. Jinwoo took the first Nexus core from its container. The moment his hands touched its surface, he was again flooded with visions. But this time, instead of the past, he saw possible futures. He saw the galaxy at peace, with different species working together to explore the mysteries of the universe. He saw worlds where children played without fear and where the word war had been forgotten. But he also saw darker possibilities. Futures where the cores were misused and reality itself became a weapon of oppression. The choice of which future would become real rested entirely in his hands. "First core connected," he reported as the installation point began to glow with inner light. Above them, the space battle was intensifying. Vextar had apparently realized what they were attempting and was throwing everything he had at the planet's defenses. "Captain," came Tae-Hyun's voice over the communication system, "the flagship is breaking through our lines. Vextar is heading for the surface personally." Jinwoo and So-Min raced to the second installation point, a temple built into the side of a mountain that seemed to reach toward the stars. As they worked to connect the second core, they could hear the thunder of atmospheric fighters engaging in combat overhead. "Second core connected," So-Min reported. "But Jinwoo, look at the energy readings. Each core we connect is creating exponentially more power." By the time they reached the third installation point, the very air around them was crackling with energy. Jinwoo could feel the cores responding to his thoughts and emotions, ready to reshape reality according to his will. "Third core connected," he said, but his voice was strained. The mental effort of controlling such vast power was beginning to take its toll. That's when Vextar arrived. The alien warlord's personal fighter craft landed near the fourth installation point, and he emerged wearing powered armor that made him look like a mechanical demon. Behind him came a squad of his most elite soldiers. "Stop this madness, human," Vextar commanded. "You have no idea what forces you are tampering with." Jinwoo looked at his enemy and saw something unexpected in the alien's eyes. Not just hatred, but fear. "You're afraid," he realized. "You're afraid of what the galaxy will look like without creatures like you in it." "I am what I am," Vextar replied. "I do not apologize for my nature." "You could be more," Jinwoo said, even as he continued working to connect the fourth core. "Every being in the galaxy could be more than they are." The battle around the installation point was fierce, but brief. So-Min fought alongside Jinwoo, using equipment that Nima'ara had provided to hold off the alien soldiers. But both of them knew that they couldn't hold out for long. "Fourth core connected," Jinwoo gasped. The energy coursing through him was almost overwhelming, but he forced himself to focus on the task. Only 3 cores remained, but Vextar was now between them and the next installation point. The alien warlord raised his weapon, preparing to end the threat once and for all. That's when something unexpected happened. Throughout the galaxy, beings who had been following the battle through communication networks began to focus their thoughts on Jinwoo. Refugees who had lost their homes, children who had lost their parents, survivors who had lost everything except hope. All of them directed their emotional energy toward the human captain who was fighting to save them all. The Nexus. Cores responded to this massive outpouring of hope and determination. Instead of overwhelming Jinwoo's mind, the combined willpower of millions of beings gave him the strength he needed to continue. Fifth core connected, he announced, his voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate with the planet itself. Vextar fired his weapon, but the energy beam was absorbed by the field of power that now surrounded Jinwoo. The alien warlord stared in disbelief as his most powerful weapons proved useless. "This is impossible," Vextar said. "No single being can control such power." "You're right," Jinwoo replied, "but I'm not alone.